Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to today's webinar, Expand Product Lines and Control Costs with Acumatica Product Configurator. We have just a few announcements before we begin. Today's presentation, as well as additional resources, can be found by clicking on the Resources tab in your viewing console. If you have any questions about the content of this session, please enter them in the Q&A box in your viewing console. We may also get questions as we can. We'll also get questions answered as we can throughout the webinar, so please feel free to ask. If you're experiencing technical difficulties, please type your issue into the technical support area, and we'll be glad to offer one-on-one assistance. And lastly, this webinar will be available on demand after the event, and we'll send you more information on where you can access that. And so now, on to the presentation. Expand Product Lines and Control Costs with Acumatica Product Configurator. Discussing today's topics is John Schlimmer. He's the Chief Operating Officer of Jazz Systems. John has over 30 years experience in sales, marketing, and service for the manufacturing, ERP, and supply chain software, marketing these technology products and services to high-growth and competitive enterprises. We also have in the room Greg Martin. Greg is the Product Marketing Manager at Acumatica, and I am Anna Trineri. I'm the Senior Digital Marketing Manager here at Acumatica. For those of you not familiar with Acumatica, Acumatica is a cloud ERP software. It's one of the fastest growing cloud ERP software for business today. It's easy to use, full-featured, and mobile software built on the world's best cloud and mobile technology to deliver a modern ERP solution, streamline processes, and increase visibility, and of course, help you control costs. It's one of the top-rated manufacturing ERP software available on the market today. It's highly awarded, has a unique pricing model, very customer-centric. It's cloud-based, customizable, functional, and fully supported, secure, and compliant. And now with that being said, I'm going to pass the presentation over to John, who's going to share a little bit more about the Acumatica Manufacturing Edition and address some of the challenges of the manufacturing industry and the product configurator. John?
Thanks, Anna. As far as the Acumatica Manufacturing Edition, it is a fully complete multi-site cloud manufacturing system. The modules that are included within this are bills of material and routings, the production scheduling and costing, MRP. There is an advanced planning and scheduling engine for finite capacity planning. There's also an estimating module, as well as a brand new module, which is engineering change control. And when the one that we're going to talk about today is the actual product configurator. So the people on the left side of the screen are people that are actually using the products. Canova Robotics is one that is obviously using the product configurator. They're a very high-tech electronics firm that does medical devices, specifically custom arms that they utilize the product configurator immensely for. So a lot of different customers using the product. Sam Molding is a windows and doors and molding manufacturer based out of the UK that is also utilizing the product configurator. So next slide, Anna. So some of the things that we're seeing in the industry, some of the challenges that the manufacturers that we talk to are facing. A while back, not that long ago, and even now, some companies, they basically just made the stock. So they just, they would have runs that, they just continue to make things to stock and sell out of stock. The market has changed. A lot of customers are demanding more customizations or configurations to their products. So they want the ability to create these configurations quickly with very little effort, and to actually have that flow directly through the system from a sales opportunity, as an example, into a sales order and then actually create that custom configurable order in the production side. So we're gonna touch on that when we get to the presentation and the demo. But the big thing is what that's done to the manufacturers. It's put immense pressure on them to where they have to be able to go out and engineer these products to where they have features and options that they can actually pick and choose from that comply with the engineering people. And while they're doing that, you know, they got to maintain a profit margin, obviously. So you don't want to be producing something and losing money consistently. You want to make sure that you're actually making a profit on this. So one of the things with modern ERP systems, such as what you're going to see today with the Acumatica Manufacturing solution, you know, we offer a product configurator. It allows the manufacturers to do these configurations to their product very easily, thus reducing their cost. So let's talk a little bit about the product configurator itself. So it is a dimensional. Its features and options, and so it can have the capability to calculate the material from a dimensional standpoint. So you can put in different attributes within the configurator itself and actually perform calculations via whether it be for length and width or any other type of calculation or formula. So a couple of the other things, you can rapidly manage these. So you have, if you have security, you have the capability to go ahead and do that configuration in the opportunities section. You can review that configuration in the sales section. If you need to make any changes, you do have a capability. And the same thing holds true as once it gets to the production side. If the customer calls and says, hey, I need to make this quick change on this feature and this option, you do have that capability within the manufacturing side as well. The other piece with this is it does do pricing additions. So if you have a door, as an example, that has a nickel-plated hinge, that's going to be one price. And then if you have a door that has a gold-plated hinge for some reason and you want to add additional cost to that, there is full cost roll-up capabilities within the product configurator as well. So ultimately, a couple other things come into play. It reduces your costs, and the biggest thing is that it reduces the number of bills of material that you need for finished parts. You do have the capability to create what's called a config key, and what that does is it's for fast entry. So once you've actually done that configuration, you have the capability to just enter that string, and you don't have to go through the configurator each and every time. So those are the main components of what we're really going to be talking about today and showing via the product. Next slide. All right, I'm going to switch over to my screen and share my demo system with you. It's publishing to the server now. And you should be able to see my screen. And Anna, if you can let me know that you can see it.
Absolutely.
Okay. So when you first come into Acumatica, you're going to come into a specific dashboard. So this is something that is configurable to each end user. So in my case, I'm on the manufacturing side, so I want to see my manufacturing dashboard. Now, we are specifically going to be talking about the product configurator today, but I will touch on some of the additional modules and how that interrelates with the product configurator as well. So the first thing I'm going to do is go into the opportunities. So this is the CRM system, and I'm going to look at all my opportunities that I have available to me. So I'm going to go ahead and select my first opportunity here, and it's going to bring up the actual CRM opportunity screen. And I'm interested in my document details because I'm going to be placing an order for this laptop. So it's a configured to order laptop. And I can go ahead and put that particular inventory item in here. You'll notice that this checkbox has that it's configured. And then if I had a configuration key, I could go ahead and insert it here. But I'm going to actually go out and configure this. So when I come in and configure, I come to a configuration entry screen, and I have the capability to add multiple attributes. In this particular case, I have the one attribute here, which is color, but I do have the capability to select different colors associated with this. So these can be drop-downs, these can be text entries, they can be validated fields. So there's a lot of capabilities within the attributes and the value. So I'm going to leave this as black. And then my options, so I have, these are all my options for my feature group. So my first feature group is the actual CPU, and these are the multiple options that I have. So I'm going to go ahead and select this particular 5.2 gigahertz CPU, and you'll notice that up here in the left-hand side, this changed to green. So what this did, it ran through its rules that you can have include capabilities and rules-based, and it goes ahead and passes through that rule to say this was an acceptable choice. Now I can move to my next particular feature, and I'm presented with different options. Now I may have more options based on a prior selection, or I could have less options. So based on my prior selection of a 5.2 gigahertz CPU, I have two options for memory. So I have a 4 gig and I have an 8 gig. So I'm going to go ahead and take the 8 gig, and it ran through its rules again to validate everything prior, and it said everything is fine now. So I can move on to my hard drive, and again, it's only going to show me the features and the options available based on my selection prior. So once I select a hard drive, now you'll notice that this configuration is complete. So I can go ahead and click Finish, and I'm going to close this window. And now at this point in time, I have a custom configured product that is only based on my configurations. So now the customer accepts that this is what they want to buy, and from the salesperson as an example. And it's a very simple way of creating a sales order. You can come in and create a sales order. You have the capability, so if this quote was generated, a couple months ago, you have the capability to come in and recalculate these prices. I could recalculate any discounts, so there may have been a promotional discount that we were offering up until the end of May that no longer applies. And so I could go ahead and I could recalculate, and then I have the capability to copy that configuration directly into the sales order. So let's go over into the sales order screen. And for the essence of time, I had already created one of these. And basically what this is, here's my laptop, and it brings in my unit price, and it gives me when the customer wants it. So they want it on the 14th of June, and you'll notice that my ship-on date has been backed off by 5 days. So I have the capability to set up a customer lead time that allows me to build to that particular ship-on date in the manufacturing on the production side. So this is telling me that I have to ship this out on the 9th in order for my customer to get it on the 14th. Now you'll notice that I have this configure button here. So if I come in and look at this configuration, then this is my specific configuration for this. So you'll notice that I have the exact same screen, and my options in this particular case, since this was copied in, it has the exact same options that I went through and I chose on the prior one as well in CRM. So I can validate that if I need to make any changes. The customer, said, I want to change the color of my laptop case. I have the capability to do that. Now from here, there's a couple things that we give you the capability to do. If it is always going to be a make-to-order item, you can mark that for production, and it comes over into this box, which is marked for production. And what that allows me to do is a couple things. I can actually come up and I can create a production order directly from here by just checking this box and saying create the next production order. The other option that you do have is if you don't want your customer service people creating production orders, when it's marked for production, there's a create production orders process within the production management system that the production people will actually create that production order at that time. And also, if you want, MRP can actually plan that order. Now you'll notice I've already created this, so this is my production order number. So we have different production order types. So you could have a regular order, it could be a service order, it could be you know, a rework order of some type. So we have multiple different production order types within the system. And the production number, anywhere you see the blue, I can hyperlink into this. So now since I have full access or access to that, I have the ability to come in and look and see what this production order looks like. And you'll notice that I've ordered one, so this copied this in. My constraint date, if you remember, was over here. The ship-on date was the 9th. So I need to actually produce this by the 9th. And based on my calendar, I have to produce this by the 7th because I don't work Saturday and Sunday. Now, a couple other things from here. You have the capability, if you have the finite capacity planning engine, you can actually come in and view that schedule from here directly. There is hard allocations to this. So if your customer orders it, then you can actually allocate that material directly to that production order and to that sales order as well. We have a variety of different statuses within the production side. So I can come in and release the order. I can cancel the order if the customer cancels it for whatever reason. And then there's a lot of other capabilities within the production side once you start producing this to collect labor, to issue materials, so on and so forth. One of the other things, the references here, you'll notice that since I created this directly from sales orders, I have the capability that it ties this directly back to that particular customer, that particular sales order, and that particular sales line item. Also, you'll notice that the source over here was from a configuration. So the source can come from a variety of different places. Since we're talking about the product configurator, it's going to come from configurations, but it could come directly from a bill of material. It could come from an estimate directly, so you don't have to create a bill of material, or it could come from a prior production order. Since this is coming from a configuration, then I also have the capability to come in, since I have access to this is security controlled, but I could come in and the customer called and said, hey, I just found out I have to have this particular case needs to be in blue instead of black. You'll notice that we've gone through this screen before. I could come in here and change this particular, value to blue and then go ahead and move on. So I do have that capability to make those changes late if the customer changes their mind, which never happens. All right, so I'm going to go to the production order side here, and we're going to take that particular production order because there's one other thing I wanted to show you, and it's a little bit bigger screen over here. So this is the same production order we were looking at. The reference is tied to that particular sales order. It's a configured item. And one of the things that I wanted to show you was on the production detail, which is the production bill of material, this copied in that CPU that I picked, and the motherboard that is a required. So this was one that I didn't pick. So you can have optional or feature/options that you can pick, but you can also have required parts that are already on the bill of material. The second operation is where I pick the hard drive and the memory. So we can actually go ahead and insert those into this bill of material. So the key point that I'm showing you here is that now I have totally created a custom configurable product for this particular laptop. Now, as I run through this, I do have the capability, as I mentioned, to apply labor. I can backflush labor of materials. I can issue materials. And then I can do a variety of different things within the production side. Once this is completed, now if I have to buy a part, just as an example, because MRP is going to run, it's going to look at everything that's on from a demand standpoint, from actual sales orders, including the configurations. forecasts. It's going to look at all the order policies from the standpoint of safety stock, reorder point, mins, max, lot sizes from both manufactured and purchased items, lead time from both manufactured and purchased items. It's going to run, then it's going to look at all the supply from existing purchase orders, from existing production orders, and it's going to run through its engine and basically say, these are the items you need to take action on. And then you can, so if you were short a particular component part on that production order, then you can actually go ahead and create a purchase order directly from that. When that purchase part comes in, it would be allocated to that production order. So it would go directly to that production order, and then you have the capability to go ahead and produce that particular item. Once the production order is complete, then it will actually create an in and out transaction in inventory from a costing perspective. Obviously, that's where you're going to get the profit margins, and then you would actually ship that component out. So one thing I will show a little bit is the setup on the configuration maintenance. So we'll take our laptop that we've been looking at. So this is the one that we've been looking at. So to set up these feature groups is a fairly simple task. You can create these feature groups, create your options down below. Again, they can have rules associated with that, so they could have include, exclude. You have the capability to create minimum and maximum selections. So since this is a laptop, and I may have the capability to say I have 4 bays that I can put hard drives in, I have to pick one, but my maximum is 4. So I can't go out and I can't pick 5 options for that particular hard drive or DVD. The other component to this is you can have what's called supplemental items. So along the lines of a laptop, which might be configured, I do have the capability to provide supplemental items as a keyboard or a mouse, which is not configured. Now the attributes that we looked at, so the attributes come in here. So this is from a color standpoint. This is where we put the default value in here. So when we invoke the configurator in the opportunities in the sales order, it defaulted to black, but then I did have my options, and here's where I can exclude things and equals black, but then I can also add those different colors. The keys have to do with the config keys, so you can set these up to where you can actually go ahead and create a string. So if I had keys set up on this, I could say, yes, I want to create a key for that, and it would maintain that configuration for me. And then from a pricing standpoint, I have the capability to roll these prices up with children only, children all, parent only, parent all, and then when I want that to calculate either on completion or after each selection. Now I did mention there's dimensional capabilities, but this one doesn't have any dimensional capabilities. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just show you this fairly quickly. So if I look at my attributes on here, and one of the things you do have a capability to do is test this configuration. So if I look at this particular configuration, it's a little bit more detailed and complex. So I have attributes that I have, and I can make these required, but I have the capability to come in and say, what type of wall construction, but I have dimensions. So I got wall 1, 2, and 3. I have a bath dimension, I have 2 opening dimensions, and I got a length and width. Now, what's important about that is, as I pick and choose these particular materials and go on down, because I have dimensional capabilities down here, you'll notice that I have this quantity required is really a formula. Now, these can be very simple to where I just want to multiply length times width, or the capability exists to be very complex. So it's a very powerful tool that allows you to do a lot of different things, and the real key to this in my mind is the capability to do complex formulas within the product configurator. But again, it can be a very simple, like we did with the laptop, where we're just picking and choosing different features that have been predefined by engineering that fit, and we go ahead and configure that and create a production order and build it and then ship it out. So that's pretty much what we're going to be able to cover today. Obviously, if you are interested, in seeing more of the system from, bills of material production and MRP and all the other modules, including Product Configurator in a much more detailed manner, I know Anna is going to discuss how you have the capability to do that. We'd love to hear from you and be more than happy to show you in much more detail the product itself. So Anna, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Absolutely. Thank you, John. That was a wonderful presentation and very, very good information. We're going to move into the Q&A section of our presentation. We've got a few minutes left, and we've got some great questions coming in through the platform. Feel free to keep adding more questions, and we'll try to get through as many of them as possible. John, one of our main questions right now is, do you have to have the full manufacturing suite to get the product configurator?
You don't have to have the full manufacturing suite to get the product configurator. The two components that are really kind of prerequisites would be the bills of material, which is where the routings are, and the production management, which is where all inventory gets relieved from. So you'd really only need the bill of material, production, and then the product configurator, and you'd be fine.
Okay, wonderful. Great. And we have another question coming in. Can a new configured order be created from an existing configured order or quote?
Yes. So you do have the capability to, you can do that a couple different ways. You could actually just take it and copy that particular order, or you do have the capability, if it's the same customer, to create a new order and copy that configuration in.
Okay, great. Well, let's go through one more. So how does the product configurator work when a stock item is valued at standard cost?
From the cost standpoint, if it's standard cost, which I didn't show, but within the production side, you're going to have either a standard, an estimated cost, or a planned cost, and then as you run transactions across that, you get the actual cost, and then you potentially could have a variance, and all of that would post into the GL. But from a pricing standpoint, you have total control on the price versus the cost in the product configurator when you're doing the configuration.
Okay. And another question, can the product configurator be used with just CRM and BOM, no production management?
We're actually looking at that, but currently right now, no. And the reason for that is because the way that we're creating the configuration and we're relieving inventory out of production, but we have had that request, and that is something we're considering to where it's just basically a sales configurator, if you will.
Great. And we're going to do one more question, which is a great one. What are the various models and costs associated with them?
The various models and costs associated with
the Acumatica Manufacturing Edition.
Oh, there's a variety of different configurations within the pricing. From a deployment standpoint, you can, have a subscription, whether it be SaaS with Acumatica's AWS platform. You can have a subscription where you host it yourself, and you do have the capability to have it on premise. The pricing varies based on that. I would suggest that and then there's transactional volumes as well. So I would suggest that you talk to Acumatica directly, or about your specific requirements on that, and they would be more than happy to put you in touch with one of the PAMs, the partner account managers, or if you're working directly with a VAR, an Acumatica VAR already, they can help you as well.
Absolutely. And thank you very much, John. And Acumatica's unique pricing model is built around the customer. So we have a lot of great positive features with regards to options that you can have in your organization. And with that being said, I want to highlight that you can request a personal ERP demonstration for your organization and speak one-on-one with one of our professional ERP consultants to get a quote and to experience the system for yourself. One great way to do that is to call us, which is 888-228-8300, or visit us online at www.acumatica.com. In the resources tab, you'll find a link as well where you can directly request a personal quote and a personal ERP demonstration from our team. And that's everything we have. On behalf of our guest, John Schlemmer and Acumatica, I am Anna Trineri, and I want to thank you for joining us for this presentation today. If you have any questions or want to request a free demo, feel free to reach out to us. Otherwise, have a great rest of your day.